Happy day, students. Today, we are going to start something new, a new subject called Communication Research Methodology. I'm sure you've heard about this subject. People think it's very formal, and very difficult. But let me tell you, it's a subject that you will really enjoy if you are involved in it. Now, let us see what is research. Research is a logical, objective, and systematic search for something new, something useful for humanity on a particular topic. Why is it logical? Why do we say research has to be logical? You should be able to reason, you should be able to analyze. It is very important. Secondly, what do I mean by being objective? Objective means my personal bias or any sort of bias cannot come into the picture. Black is black and white is white. What do I mean by being systematic? Research has to follow a particular order. If you start at A, you have to go on to Z. It is very important, these three factors, logical, objective, and systematic, because you're searching for new and useful information on a particular topic. Now, this could lead to new contributions to the existing field of knowledge. It is also used to find solutions to scientific and social problems. With research, one can make meaningful progress in any field. Now, research is done in order to discover something new, interpret or revise facts. In research, something that has already been done, a solution that is found, can be re-looked at. It's very important to interpret or revise facts, events, behaviors, and theories. Research is in fact ubiquitous. What does the word ubiquitous mean? It means that it is there all over. But remember, with research, we need to focus. Therefore, research is also specific. You cannot be vague, and say that this is harmful or this is good. We really don't know unless there is evidence. So research is important because there is evidence to prove black or white. And research is for the betterment of society. Let us go a little in depth into research. We need to look at two terminologies. What is a concept? What is a construct? A concept is an idea that is generalizable or agreed upon by many people. For example, tobacco is high risk. There is violence in movies. Now, if you see, these are statements that everyone agrees upon, but it is not really concrete. It is not really clear. There is a lot more to be added to make meaning. So this is a concept. But a construct makes a little more sense. It is a statement of a concept in a way that is useful for scientific theorizing. It is more clear, specific, and less abstract because it has some sort of a context. For example, if I say tobacco is high risk for whom? High risk under what conditions? These things need to be added to give context. Then it becomes a construct. When I say violence in movies affects whom? Whom am I talking about? There is violence in movies, but it affects which age group, which gender? What sort of violence are we speaking about? Are we speaking about explicit violence, implicit violence, physical violence, verbal violence? These things need to be determined. When this is determined, the context is set to a great extent. Therefore, this becomes a construct. Now we need to understand what is theory. I'm sure most of you have studied what is a theory, but anyway, let's just have a relook. Theories are formulated to explain, predict, and understand phenomena, and in many cases to challenge and extend existing knowledge within the limits of the critical assumptions. Theory is constantly revised as new knowledge which is discovered through research. Now, if we look at communication research in particular, we had the bullet theory or the hypodermic needle theory, which assumed that the audience was passive. And whatever impact came through the media would definitely affect the audience. But with research, new research, the uses and gratifications theory came about, which stated that the audience is definitely not passive, but the audience is active. They choose what they want to see. Each viewer may have a different sociological and psychological background, which will affect the content. And therefore, the message need not hit everybody the same way. Now, let us look at another new terminology, something we need to know in research, called epistemology. Epistemology, as a branch of philosophy, deals with the sources of knowledge. What are the sources of knowledge that are used in research? There are four main sources of knowledge: intuitive knowledge, authoritarian knowledge, logical knowledge, empirical knowledge. Let us look at each one of them. What is intuitive knowledge? Intuitive knowledge is based on our intuition, faith, beliefs, etc. Human feelings play a great role in intuitive knowledge compared to reliance on facts. What is authoritarian knowledge? Authoritarian knowledge relies on information that has been given or is being given by experts in a particular field. Somebody writes a book, that author, that is authoritarian knowledge when I depend on that. Next is logical knowledge. What is logical knowledge? It is a creation of new knowledge through the application of logical reasoning. Now, I'm also going to tell you how this can be used in your day-to-day research. Finally, what is empirical knowledge? Empirical knowledge relies on objective facts that have been established and can be demonstrated. Now, as I told you, the research process may integrate all of these sources of knowledge within a single study. For example, intuitive knowledge can be used in order to select a specific problem to be explored within a selected research area. For example, my research interest might be social media, how it affects youth. So that is the intuitive knowledge that I use, because I know if I choose my research topic from this area, it will be interesting and I can go ahead happily. That is very important in research. Secondly, authoritative knowledge. This is gained during the process of literature review. What do we do when we review literature? When we review literature, what we are going to do is we are going to read things written by experts. So this is also very important. This is authoritative knowledge. What is logical knowledge? Logical knowledge is generated as a result of analyzing your primary data findings. What are my primary data findings? I know there are certain terms here which will be explained later. For example, primary data finding. This is when I conduct research, the data that I get when I give my questionnaire or I ask questions, the result that I get, the data that I get, this is my primary data. By analyzing this, I get logical knowledge because it makes sense, there is reason. Finally, conclusions of this particular research will give me, or the conclusions can be perceived as empirical knowledge. Empirical knowledge or scientific knowledge because I have done a systematic study, I've come to a particular conclusion, therefore this is empirical knowledge. Now, let us look at the objectives of research. Remember, we are not looking at the objectives of a particular research study, but why do research at all? How is research useful? We're going to look at this. First of all, research is used to discover new facts, something that we don't know about. When we research, we come to find that something new is there. Secondly, to verify and test important facts. To verify and test important facts. To analyze an event or process or phenomenon. Something is happening. Social media is perhaps disturbing people. Why is this happening? To identify the cause and effect relationship. Taking the same example, people say social media causes sleeplessness. So, social media is the cause, the effect is sleeplessness. Why is this happening? We need to analyze and find out. To find solutions to scientific, non-scientific, and social problems. To develop new scientific tools, concepts, and theories to solve and understand scientific and non-scientific problems. And to overcome or solve the problems occurring in our daily life. Now we come into media research. Media research, what's very important about communication and media studies is that it lends itself so well to interdisciplinary subjects. It is by itself very interdisciplinary in nature. Now, mainly media research evolved from the areas of psychology and sociology. Now a well-established field in its own right, the proliferation of mass media research is mainly attributable to the rapidly developing technology of the media industry and the need for niche content. The more something develops, the more focus we need to have. Research has affected mass media both in the form and content. Now, I guess all of you know what is form and content. What is form? What form does or format does the newspaper have? It is something that we can hold in our hands, read, that is print. When we come to audio, it is something that we listen to, something that we hear. When it comes to audio visual, it is something that we hear and view. When it comes to social media, there you have a platform for all multimedia events. So when I say we have to do research in the form, for the form of media, what exactly do I mean? For example, music, when you take music, music used to be listened to on the cassette recorder, on the LP, that is the long playing record. Today you listen to music on your iPad, iPod, or most popular of course today is your mobile. The form, remember the form of the medium or the device you use to listen to music has changed. And today the sound quality has developed phenomenally. Now this deals with form, do you understand? This is how maybe you can conduct a study on how form changes over the years and how this has an impact on the audience. Secondly, you have content. What is content? Content is the message that goes out through this particular channel, that therefore you have form as well as content. The heart of all research is the research problem. What is a research problem? That is the core area that the researcher sets out to work upon and get a solution. Therefore, we can say that a research problem is a statement about an area of concern, a condition to be improved upon, a difficulty to be eliminated, or a troubling question that exists in theory or in practice that points to the need for meaningful understanding and deliberate investigation. A research problem could be something as simple as, do the youth read newspapers? Now, as a researcher, I want to find out if youth read newspapers, but this is too general, it is too vague. I need to be much more specific. Therefore, I need to focus a lot more to come up with a workable problem statement. For example, when I say youth and newspapers, do they read newspapers? Youth from where? From India? Which state in India? Which district? Am I talking about urban youth? Am I talking about rural youth? What age do they belong to? Which gender? Which socioeconomic strata? All these factors are very important. When you focus, your research problem gets easier to solve. The more focus, the easier and clearer it is to work upon. Selecting the right population as the sample is half the battle won. Because any research will be valid only if the sample is at least 1/10 of the actual population. Only then you're contributing something to the general body of knowledge. As one focuses more and more, the problem or question becomes more and more specific, as I've already told you, which ultimately leads to the research topic. Now, it is important to understand that the research problem is selected based on various aspects such as, is it useful to society? Does it interest me as a researcher? Will I be able to complete it within a particular time? Here we come to feasibility reasons. Is this feasible in terms of time? Is it feasible in terms of money? Do I have enough money to conduct this research? I may be very ambitious, but do I have enough capital to fund this research? It should also be interesting, otherwise I myself might lose interest. It has to be interesting, it has to explore into the subject. And another very important thing, there should be scope for further study. In brief, a research topic should be interesting, explorative, simple, focused, to the point, crisp, concise, relevant, and meaningful. Now, since we're talking about a research problem, we come to the problem statement. What does a problem statement actually do? A problem statement contextualizes the problem. It sets the context to what do we already know. Secondly, it describes the precise issue that the research will address, that the research scholar wants to do. That is, it answers the question, what do we need to know? Thirdly, it shows the relevance of the problem. Why do we need to solve this problem? Why is this area important? Why do we need to find the solution? These three issues are very important to keep in mind. Let me repeat. A problem statement contextualizes the problem, describes the precise issue that the research will address, and shows the relevance of the problem. Let me give you an example. It may not be very good, but I will try. Narrowing down the area and focusing on precise variables is crucial. Once again, students, the term variables will be dealt with later on in class. For now, I can give you the example of a vague problem statement. Social media usage has a negative impact on the youth. This sounds like a concept, right? We all know social media has a negative concept. But if you're going to do research based on this problem statement, you will come with a lot of problems because there is no focus. Let me try something a little clearer. Spending many hours on social networking sites has detrimental effects on real-life relationships of adolescents in Chennai. Therefore, what are you doing with social media? Spending many hours. I could focus more and tell you maybe I want to study only Facebook or Facebook and Instagram or Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. I could go on. You can focus there also. When I say, negative impact, I need to specify what am I talking about, because social media is supposed to have detrimental effects when it comes to sleep, spending time with family and friends, etc. But here I'm talking real life relationships. Therefore, it's all about real life versus real life. Where is the study being conducted? In Chennai. Now let me repeat the vague statement and the more clear statement. The vague statement, social media usage has a negative impact on the youth. Very vague. Little clearer, spending many hours on social networking sites have detrimental effects on real life relationships of adolescents in Chennai. To wrap up today's class, let us just go through what all we learned, the important things. We saw what is research, what is a concept, what is a construct, what is a theory, more importantly, how research can help revise theory. We saw what is epistemology and the 4 kinds of knowledge. We went on to media research, how media research is very interdisciplinary in nature. The background for media research having been started in psychology and sociology. The objectives of research, what is a research problem, and what is a problem statement, of course with adequate examples. So we will move further and go more in depth in the next class. Thank you, girls.